Welcome to my tutorial on how to make Pong and Stencyl. Now, for those of you who don't know, Stencyl is a very nice, very easy beginner program for how to make games and the such. I don't know, I really like using it, to be honest. It's one of my favorite ones. So, I'm going to start this tutorial off already assuming that you have Stencyl downloaded. And whenever you load into Stencyl, this is the first screen that you see. I already have an account, but a lot of times it'll ask you to like create an account. You don't need one, but it's just actually a lot of fun. So I'm gonna sign into my account real quick. Let's hope I remember my password. Here we go. I've signed into my account, and this is the screen that you're gonna do. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna click here to create a game, right where it says, and we're gonna make a blank game. Now, if you really want to learn something different, you can always create like sample kits and sample games, and you can always play them and learn how to work through them that way. But right here, we're gonna start with a blank game. Hit select blank game. Hit next. We're gonna name this one background. Simple, nice and easy. I like to leave the sizes that they give me because it's nice and easy. And I'm gonna do a vertical gradient down because I think they look really cool. I'm gonna start off with like a black because that's gonna look real nice, and I'm gonna end up with like, I don't know, I'm feeling really fancy today. I'll end up with a sky blue, and I'll hit create. See, look at that, it creates a really nice gradient. So for now, I'm going to hit save game because I want to save it, and I don't want to make sure that I don't lose anything. So now I'm going to go back. I'm going to go over here to this tab over here, and I'm going to click actors. Now before, if you're watching this video, down below will be a package of just assets for this. In a folder, there's going to be something like Stencyl downloads, or if you're on our website, it's at the hyperlink up above. So we're going to create actor type. This one, we're going to create paddle 1 first. And I called it paddle 1, then I hit OK. This actor type contains no animations. Click here to add an animation. This is pretty simple. I'm going to click here. I'm going to click to add a frame, and I'm going to choose image. Now this is going to be directly from that file that I mentioned before. I have mine down in my downloads folder under, is it in my downloads folder? Under Stencyl tutorial, right there. And this was going to be Pong paddle. Hit OK, and it shows up right there. This is going to be our paddle. This is going to be the same picture we use for both paddles, just to make it easy. I'm going to hit add. OK. Now, because I have that, now we have our first paddle. We have our picture there for it. I'm going to hit save again just to make sure. You want to keep saving this constantly just in case something happens to your computer, or like just happens to Stencyl where it freezes and shuts down or anything like that. Alright, now we have a paddle here. I'm going to give it some behaviors. Now Stencyl is a really nice program because in behaviors you can just click to add a behavior, and controls. After you go to controls, see for a paddle in ping pong, all it has to do is go up and down. It doesn't move left to right. So we're going to add two-way vertical movement. And we're going to choose this. Now, we're going to be able to use controls since this is a two-player game. Right? But you notice here, there's no W, there's no S. So no, you can't use the left side controls. We're going to click here to add a new control. I'm going to name this W, and then when I get here, I'm going to click where it says A and hit the W key. And I'm going to do the same thing for S. And since I'm here, I'm going to make the third control key. as well as R. You'll find out what that's for later. Alright, so then I want to close this out because there's no save button for this, so I'm just going to close it, and then I'm going to save the game again. Here, I'm just going to close out paddle 1, and then I'm going to open it back up again, just to sort of refresh it. I'm going to go behaviors here, see, now it's here. Well, for up, we're going to go W, and for down, we're going to go S. See, you want to close it to refresh it just to make sure that you have it, and then you're going to save it. You want to go to physics, and you want to push it, make sure that it cannot be pushed and that it cannot be rotated. And save. One more thing that we have to add behavioral wise is to make sure that it can't leave the screen. So we'll go down, we'll click add behavior, and we will do motion and cannot exit screen. Choose that, and you see it has attributes here. The attributes that we can't configure, and it says cannot exit screen, prevent the actor from leaving the screen. We'll hit save. We'll go back to where it says Pong background. I'll turn on the grid, and I usually do it about the second one in the second line in the grid, not the second line, the first line in the grid, and try to make it about center. So the first line in the grid, and you'll make it about center. There we go. Now we have our paddle 1. We're going to save that, and just to test it, we'll do test scene real quick. It's going to take a couple minutes, and it's going to compile. After it finishes compiling, there'll be a little pop-up window that says Adobe Flash on it, and we'll be able to just test to see if what we've done so far is working. Now, it may take a couple minutes to compile every once in a while. It depends on how well your computer is, how fast your computer is. Compiling, so now I wait for the pop-up to come up. Here it is. In this case, I'm hitting the W and S keys, and you can see that it moves up and down, and that I can't move it off of the screen. It hits the edges of the screen, but I can't move it off. That's going to be a real fun tidbit later. Alright, next thing's next, we'll make paddle 2. So we'll just close out of that. We'll add, and we'll call it paddle 2. We'll do the same exact things that we did for paddle 1. We'll create a new actor type, add a new animation for it, add a frame, choose image, and we'll choose the image Pong paddle. We will add that, and it's the same picture as from paddle 1. We'll add that, and we'll save. Next, for the behaviors, we'll click here. We'll choose two-way, since it's already done. Since we've already done it once, it's already here on the screen. So we'll choose two-way vertical movement, and we will assign this one the up arrow and the down arrow for down. Up arrow for up, down arrow for down. So that way two people on opposite sides of the keyboard can play. It's a two-player game. Have fun with it. Cannot exit screen. And we will choose to do that too. Save it one more time before we move on to physics. We want to make sure it cannot be pushed, because if it's pushed and the ball hits the side, then the paddle's going to be pushed off screen, and then we can't use it anymore. And if it can rotate, the paddle's going to end up becoming horizontal or just really tilted, and it doesn't look right. So we're going to save once again. Then we're going to click add to scene, Pong background. Okay. Just to make sure. And then I'm going to try and line it evenly on the other side. As evenly as I can to make it fair. Sometimes it takes a little bit of work and a little bit of precision, but like you get used to it after a little bit. I think that's pretty much even for good starting positions. So we'll save it one more time and we'll test the scene again just to see, make sure all of our controls work. It's finalizing and compiling. Again, a couple minutes to compile. Faster than before. Now we'll see that the W and S key work, the up and down arrow work. Alright, up next we will create our ball. So we're going to close this out again and we're going to create actor type, and this will just be called the ball. And we'll create it. This works the same as the other ones, right? But this one, we're gonna have a couple more steps to do. This is where we get into the nitty-gritty stuff. We're gonna add an animation like we did before. Click here to add a frame. We're gonna choose image and we're gonna choose a ball. Then add it, and this is gonna be our ball. We're gonna save. Instead of doing behaviors this time, we're going to do events. Now, this is really easy and it's really simple, but this is where we get into programming. Now, over on the side here, there's a button here that says add event. So what we're going to do is we're going to add event. We're going to do a basic event, and we're going to say when creating. Now to make this easy here, there is a search bar. So this is basically going to be a drag and drop section. So we're going to go to actors, motion, set velocity to direction and speed. For this, we're going to do 45 degrees at a speed of 35. Something that's going to be not speed at 35. Let's try 25 to make it nice and slow, so it's not too fast, and we're not playing speed Pong here. For self. See, we're doing this for self because we're programming for the ball, and the ball is the only thing that's really going to be moving without the help of the user. So we're going to hit that and we're going to save. Now, if you didn't see set velocity to direction under motion here, you can always go up here and type set velocity, hit enter, and it'll come up right there. Now we save after we do this because this is our important coding block here. We're going to go to physics here. This is going to be a normal actor type, and it's going to have normal rotation, and you're going to make sure that it's affected by gravity. The other two paddles we didn't have affected by gravity, but these two, but the ball must be affected by gravity. And yes, it can rotate, and yes, it's normal. Here we're going to go to heaviness to make sure that both of these are set to 1 kilogram. Normally they're set to 1 by default, but we're going to make sure that they are still at 1. And this is where it gets more interesting. Friction, we want to set to 0, because if there is friction, it will cause more weird and irrational events to happen, like backspin, and we don't want that. We're going for a more traditional version of Pong. If you want to have something more fun and have more backspin or something like that, then feel free to up the friction. But it also will make your game quite slow. And also, make sure you turn bounciness up to 1. that is as bouncy as it can get, and it will make sure that the game stays at a consistent place. Once again, we're going to save the game again. You want to try and save after every step. Next, we're going to add the ball to scene. Pong background. Okay. Now I'm going to try and add this directly in the middle here. There we go. That's as close to the middle as I can get it. I think that's pretty good. And we're going to save the game, and we're going to test the scene again. It's important to test the scene at almost every step that you can, just to make sure that you have everything correct. I'm going to test scene right here. I'm going to compile again. The ball moves. But when the ball moves, it falls off the screen. So what we're going to do now is we're going to add some tiles for both aestheticism and also to give something for the ball to bounce off of. So we're going to go over to tiles. This game contains no current tile sets, but right next to the word tile sets, there's a little plus here. Now we're going to name this, I'm just going to name this tile and hit create. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go to my web browser, and I'm going to grab I'm just going to use dark blue. I just want to get a picture of something dark blue. I'm going to say for this, I'm going to go something a little different, a dark blue. I'm going to grab this and I'm going to copy image, and then I'm going to paste from clipboard. I'm going to add this here, and this creates a new tile set. So then I'm going to go back to where it says Pong background here. I'm going to pick a color somewhere in the middle here because it looks, I feel like it'll be a little bit more interesting. I'm going to go here because it has definitely some contrast with what's going on down here at the bottom, and I think it makes a really cool pattern. Now you can choose any picture that you want and it'll make it into a tile set. So I'm going to go line the tops and the bottoms with this. You can just click and drag to make it nice and easy on yourself. And then I'm going to save it. Save it once again. You can hit Control S to save, or you can hit the save game button here. I saved it already, and then I'm going to test scene again. Once again, we're compiling. Alright. You see the ball bounced off the bottom there. We're going to test that one more time and see if I can get better at catching it. Playing Pong with yourself is not easy. Alright, oh man, I just missed it. One more time, I promise I can get it now. There we go. You see, it bounces off the walls and the tile set that we added perfectly. And it makes a more interesting moment. Now, all we have to do is just have a way to get the ball back whenever it bounces off the screen. So what we'll do for this is we'll close this out first. We will go to events here. So for this event, we're going to make it sure it's a button press. So we will go here. We will add an event, basics, and this will be when updating. So when updating, we'll have something for user input. When shift key is down is what this one says. when shift key is down. So how we're going to start this is we're going to start with the flow. First things first, you'll need an if statement. An if statement basically says, if this is happening, do this. So for if this, so in this case, we're going to have a user input. If control is, we're going to use this one here. It says if control is down. This will give us the option of all the controls that we listed earlier. So then if we're going to choose control, R is what we're going to use. R is for reset. If control is down, what we're going to use is we're going to search here for reload. I'm going to search for reload and crossfade. And we're going to have this done for 2 seconds. So that way, anytime the ball goes off the screen or you miss it and you don't like it, you can hit the R button and it will reset. Then you're going to go ahead and save. And we're going to go test this out one more time. So we're going to go back to our scene. You don't have to. I just like doing it so it's up nice in the background. I'm going to test scene. It's compiling. Alright. We're going to miss that on purpose. We're going to hit R and look at that. You see how it crossfades out for 2 seconds. And you can continuously go on and away. Now, I think the blue background just makes it a little bit more of a challenge with the blue ball, but you can still see it clearly. You can choose any color you want, and hopefully you're better at Pong than I am. Thank you for watching this tutorial. Have a nice day.